The trouble with quotes about death is that 99.9% of them are made by people who are still alive. Joshua Burns. I can't afford to die, I'd lose too much money. George Burns, comedian. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions of years before I was born and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience. Mark Twain. I'm not afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Woody Allen, comedian. I'm very pleased to be here. Let's face it, at my age, I'm very pleased to be anywhere. George Burns. The trouble with quotes about death is that 99.9% of them are made by people who are still alive. Joshua Burns. Always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours. Yogi Berra, baseball player. For 3 days after death, hair and fingernails continue to grow but phone calls taper off. Johnny Carson. I have never killed a man, but I have read many obituaries with great pleasure. Clarence Darrow, lawyer. At a formal dinner party, the person nearest to death should always be seated closest to the bathroom. George Carlin. In this world, nothing can be certain, except death and taxes. Benjamin Franklin, inventor. Life is hard. Then you die. Then they throw dirt in your face. Then the worms eat you. Be grateful if it happens in that order. David Gerrold. I bequeath my entire estate to my wife on the condition that she marries again. That will ensure there will be at least one man who will regret my death. Heinrich Heine. Self-decapitation is an extremely difficult, not to say dangerous, thing to attempt. W. S. Gilbert, dramatist. It's funny the way most people love the dead. Once you're dead, you're made for life. Jimi Hendrix, musician. You know you're old when the candles cost more than the cake. Bob Hope. Death is a delightful hiding place for weary men. Herodotus, historian. There are more dead people than living, and their numbers are increasing. The living are getting rarer. Eugene Ionesco, playwright. I've looked that old scoundrel death in the eyes many times, but this time I think he has me on the ropes. Douglas MacArthur. My father was from Aberdeen, and a more generous man you couldn't wish to meet. I have a gold watch that belonged to him. He sold it to me on his deathbed. I wrote him a check for it, post-dated of course. Sheik Murray, comedian. My grandmother was a very tough woman. She buried 3 husbands and 2 of them were just napping. Rita Rudner. Death is a very narrow theme, but it reaches a wide audience. Socrates, philosopher. The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Mark Twain.